Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Hello, my friends, and welcome once again to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur ghost dragon slayer, and welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only radio station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, and a variety of interesting music and talk shows throughout the day. All we do is entertain, inspire, inform. And my friends, I want you to be part of the conversation, so follow me on the Twitter at Colt S. Taylor. Also on Cameo at Colt S. Taylor as well. I should probably turn that back on now that I'm back from Ireland. And of course, if you just can't catch the show because you're a man about town, woman of action, whatever, you can subscribe to the podcast version of the show at anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor. And a special welcome to several dozens, maybe hundreds of new listeners who have also been listening to me in my online podcast. Well, not mine, I don't produce it, I participate. Online Dungeons and Dragons podcast, the Longshots. I was bragging about this show the other day, and I think we have a few new listeners catching up on the news while they take a break from their fantasy adventures. Where else better than here on AWSM Radio? All right, my friends, let's get started with this week's Saturday Report. First up this week, we go to Nevada, to Lake Mead and the Hoover Dam. This is a story I've actually hit upon at least once or twice about the lake levels in Lake Mead dropping quite a bit due to the persistent drought out there. In fact, they're in the middle of a 22-year drought out there in the West. I believe 75% of the western part of the 9 western states are experiencing some form of drought. 74% in the 9 western states, not 74% of 9 western states. You know what I'm saying. And 35% of that area is experiencing extreme drought, and it just is not going away. The water levels at Lake Mead have fallen quite a bit over the last 2 years. In 2020, it was 1,204 feet. The capacity for the reservoir is about 1,220 feet, and it wasn't too far long ago where it was at capacity. It was near capacity in 1983 and 1999. Granted, that was over 22 years ago. That's when the drought started. But as of June 2022, water has fallen to 1,043 feet, about over 150-foot drop. So there's lots of parts of this lake that are now exposed. Shallower areas are now just dry. And there's also concern that if the water keeps falling, that there will not be enough water pressure to turn the turbines to generate electricity. So that is also another really big concern that they are having today. The water levels, the 1,043-foot water level, is the lowest it has been since 1937. Why was it that low back then? Because they were filling it up, because they had just built it and they were slowly filling it up. So it has not been that low since the lake was being filled behind the dam. It is, if you look at satellite pictures of it, it is pretty incredible at this shrinking lake behind the dam. Don't have enough rain for 22 years, you're gonna get this. So there are water restrictions out there right now. They're saying there'll probably be even more to try to reduce the use of water. Obviously, not only is climate change out there impacting this, but also, there's millions and millions of more people living out there now. And the water the water does not grow like housing developments. It's just water that's there. And if there's less water out there because of said climate change, you're going to get a bit of an issue. Also, this week in Nevada at the Hoover Dam, a transformer blew up. At the dam, it kind of blew up while people were taking a tour. So there's a few videos of it, like as the smoke and flame are coming up from the explosion, whatnot. But these things do happen. It's not common, but it's not super uncommon to occasionally have a transformer blow up. Probably happens like once every 10 or 15 years. Elsewhere, equipment gets old, something, a little sand gets in there, and boom, blows up. Fortunately, no one was hurt. There was no damage to the dam. They're still doing electricity, but a rarity for that tourist group, seeing a transformer at the Hoover Dam go poof and send up smoke up into the air. So it was breaking news for like 5 minutes. But if you pop online, you can see that video, and you also see how much the lake has shrunk over the last 20 years as well. Next, my friends, we go to Rome, Italy, Rome. Rome, Fiumicino, I'm saying it wrong, International Airport, where an Australian couple, father, mother, and a 13-month-old baby, had a delightful European trip and going back home to Australia, go to the airport, check in, and they have their flights, but the baby's ticket has been rebooked onto another flight. So problems, obviously, with that. So apparently in the few months beforehand, there was a booking issue, and they had to rebook some flights over the phone, and there was an administrative error, and the couple was on one flight, and the baby was on another flight, leaving 40 minutes later to Australia. They would go from Rome to Amsterdam, then Amsterdam to Bangkok, and then from Bangkok to Australia. So it wasn't like a direct flight from Rome to Australia. There would be several connections and whatnot. You can't put a 13-month-old alone on a plane like that. So they spent about 90 minutes at the airport trying to figure that out. They couldn't figure that out. The baby couldn't sit on their laps or anything like that. But yeah, they said, well, we can't do anything about it. So the plane left. The plane left without them, and they're still in Rome. This was 12 days ago. The next available flight that they can all get on to go there is July 26th. And let me just check the official AWSM Radio calendar here. Flip. That's not today. No. So they're still in Rome there, and they have spent 20 hours on the phone with folks at Qantas and KLM, which is part of they're on several different planes, companies, and they all work together, so they're all branded at the same flight. But between Qantas and KLM, they have spent 20 hours on the phone, talking time on the phone. They've called 55 times, and when they get cut off and they call back in, they have to start this all over again. Awful customer service there with Qantas and KLM. I guess they're the Spirit Airlines and Frontier Airlines of Europe. I thought they were better, but maybe they aren't. The real Hyundai Tucson airline they got going on over there. So this couple is still in Rome. And they're going to be in there for 12 days before they can finally get home. Guess what, folks? Staying in Rome ain't cheap. Qantas said they were going to give them $200 per night they were stuck in Rome. Which, hey, I don't know about you, but I don't think I could get a decent hotel room in a major city for $200. I mean, Rome is the capital of Italy. If I went to Washington, D.C., a $200 hotel room, probably not that great of a hotel room. And that's just, hotels, People got to eat. The couple estimates that they have spent $15,000 out of pocket for extra accommodation, food, travel, and entertainment while trying to get back home to Australia. So, I'm not sure if Qantas is going to be compensating them for that. According to the wife, Stephanie, they have not heard about that yet. I certainly hope they do, because that is just ridiculous. That is just crazy. Now, I've read this story several times. What I don't understand, and I am going to assume, in the heat of the moment, the airline said, no, you can't do that. See, it made sense to me if, if the baby is by themselves on one plane and the couple is on, the mother and father are on the other plane, one of the parents should have just taken that flight that left 40 minutes later, go to the connecting airport, and then meet up with them. Flying from Rome to Amsterdam, then, that's like a 90-minute flight, maybe 2 hours at the most. I don't know why they wouldn't be able to do that. Now, airlines are awful, so the thought of them switching names around at the last minute between flights probably isn't something they would do. But probably would save Qantas a bunch of money if they were able just to do that, or upgrade them to first class, and whoever had the baby, tell them that we're going to do our best to help you, manage this child between point A and point B. But, that would have been a whole lot easier than being stuck in Rome for 12 days. There's going to be a place to be stuck in. Rome is fine. But, they're not independently wealthy, so they missed, a week and a half of work. If I was stuck in Dublin during my Ireland vacation for 12 days, that would have been a bit of a strain on my end. I work remotely for my many, many clients around the world, so it's not that easy, but I imagine they don't. So hopefully this couple will be able to get back home to Australia, hopefully, one of these days. Hopefully by next week, I'm hoping they get home. So, Mr. Andrew Braham and Stephanie Braham, and your lovely little adorable child, I hope by the time you hear this, well, first off, thank you for listening, because I assume I'm big in Australia. I hope you get home safely and with as least hassle as possible. We now go to Alexandria, Egypt, where a beach specifically designed for those with visual impairments has opened. So this beach basically accommodates blind beachgoers. It is staffed with specially trained lifeguards here in Egypt to help those who are visually impaired get themselves around and be able to swim on their own without putting them into danger and whatnot. So it's a really amazing thing that they're doing over there. I imagine they're elsewhere, but this is like the first time a story like this has popped up on my end. And it's a very nice. The project in Alexandria was a collaboration with the Alexandrian Blind Society, and Gamal Rashad, the head of the Central Administration for Tourism and Resorts, said that it turned out to be very successful, nice experience, and they were able to swim happily. Everyone has a whistle around their neck to blow if he or she felt any danger. This is an extra safety measure. Also, the area they're swimming in is not deep at all. So this is specifically designed beach for it. Last year, Alexandria Governor Mohammed El Sharif opened a large beach that supports those with mobility issues, allowing them to go down to the sea in wheelchairs through paths that are built onto the beach. So, obviously, wheelchairs on the sand, pretty difficult, but they've built it so that they can wheel their wheelchairs down into the water. The beach can accommodate 100 or to 150 people. It's free for those living in the area, and it's great. Amin El Said, board member of the Alexandrian Blind Society, told the Al Monitor that, quote, "I've been longing for years to swim on my own. We have children in our society who've never swam in the sea through their entire lives. I'm even starting to tell my friends in other governorates," which is basically like the states, that's how that country is organized, "to come to Alexandria this summer and experience this beach." Now, Egypt has started to put more funding and giving attention to their citizens with disabilities. Egyptian President El Sisi established a Differently Abled Fund in December 2021 in celebration of International Day for Disabled People. And, they're putting more money into that. They passed a law to put more funding in for disabled citizens, to maintain better services for people with disabilities, including healthcare, sports, education, and other sectors. So, great thing that they're doing over there. I usually bring you bad news on here. Not bad news, but news. But every once in a while, I find a really nice story that I like to share with you. So, good on my Egyptian friends over there for creating a beach so that everyone can experience swimming in the Mediterranean Ocean. See? Mediterranean Sea. It's not an ocean. It's a sea. I know maps. My friends, not only do I know maps, I know good entertainment and good music. And here at AWSM Radio, we've got the best DJ of all time, I think. I think that's a Guinness World Book record. Don't quote me on that. But my pal DC has a show here on AWSM Radio Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So listen, there's no excuse to miss it. First up, Fridays at 9 p.m., it's DC Live in Effect. You do not want to miss out while he smashes it on the ones and twos, kicking the beats from his South Florida compound. And then Saturdays, it's DC House Party Saturdays, where DC will bring you his freestyle DJing to the max. House Party Saturdays gives you the Miami vibe without actually having to be down in that state. From the top clubs to the bars, DC will bring the party to you Saturdays at 10 p.m. And then, just to bookend the weekend, it's DC Live in Effect again on Sundays at 10 p.m. So, for review, Fridays at 9, DC Live in Effect. Saturdays at 10, DC House Party Saturdays. And then Sundays at 10, DC Live in Effect once again. Only here on AWSM Radio. Next, my friends, we go to South Kakalaki, South Carolina, where now infamous, terrible, awful former lawyer Alex Murdaugh pled not guilty to the murder of his wife and son, which authorities say after about a year and a month of investigation, saying he was the one who killed them in some sort of bizarre insurance scheme and whatnot. They say that the wife was killed with an assault rifle, attempting to flee the scene, while the son was shot with a shotgun at close range. According to the South Carolina Assistant Attorney General Cretan Walters, he said the evidence all came back to one person, and that was Alex Murdaugh. So he's been charged. He's pled not guilty. He still has one son, and apparently he has nothing to do with this. He's not been charged with anything, but the father, Alex here, after his wife and other son had died, had a bizarre, trying to fake his own death to get $10 million insurance scam as well. This all started when there was a reported botched hit on him, and wow, someone tried to kill this guy. Someone killed his son and wife just a few months ago. Someone must be out to get him. But then folks were like, wait a second, that doesn't quite add up. And turns out, yeah, he's also been accused of stealing about $10 million from his clients and former his former law office, and then also the son who had passed away, who was killed, was being investigated for a death in 2019. Into 2019 of his former housekeeper. That's right. And he apparently tried to influence that investigation. And then another housekeeper in 2018 also died somewhat mysteriously. And then that body's being exhumed and is being, examined to see what actually happened there. So there's a lot going on down there in South Carolina with this guy. I can't imagine anyone in that family ever being able to hire another housekeeper again. They're kind of 0 for 2. But, yeah. So I feel like he's going to jail for a very long time. I'm just gonna guess on that one. But I'll keep track of that, let you guys know any interesting updates, if any interesting updates occur. We now go to Europe, where things are heating up. And I'm talking about the election for the next British Prime Minister due to the collapse of the Prime Minister Boris Johnson's support within the Conservative Party. Not talking about that. As interesting as that is, talking about actual temperatures. This week in the United Kingdom, France, Spain, and Western Europe, temperatures reached 40 centigrade and higher. Probably ask yourself, Colt, I don't do Celsius. What are you talking about? Well, don't worry. I got you. I mean, I have friends and listeners from New Zealand and Australia and Canada, so they use centigrade. Or Celsius. Celsius? Yeah, Celsius. So, what? Anyway, don't matter. That's about like over 100, 105 in Fahrenheit. And in London this week, they had a lot of fires, a lot of wildfires in the greater London area. According to Mayor Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, the London Fire Department had its busiest day since World War II. Yes, since the time when Germans were dropping bombs on London and setting fires due to World War II, the London Fire Department has never been that busy than they were this week. Now, normally the London Fire Department will get 350 calls in a day. That's a normal day for the London Fire Department. Now, London is a very big city, so for those who don't know geography. On a busy day, a quote-unquote busy day, they'll get 500 calls. 500 calls is a busy day for the London Fire Department. Last Tuesday, the London Fire Service received 2,600 calls. Over five times what they consider to be a busy day due to the extreme heat, some wind, dry weather, and wildfires. There was coverage in the news. These fires were all over the place in London, and firefighters were struggling to get them under control. 41 properties were destroyed in London due to wildfires, and then 16 firefighters were injured battling the blazes. Now, the mayor of London said, quote, "It is important for us to recognize that one of the consequences of climate change and these sort of temperatures that lead to the fires you are seeing, the challenge in London is that we have a lot of grass, a lot of green spaces, and a lot of that impinges on properties. And when you have not had rain for a long period, when grass is incredibly dry, fires can start very quickly and spread even faster because of wind, and that leads to properties being destroyed." So when you think wildfires, you probably don't think the London area, but London, France, Spain, Greece, Italy, I think even in Switzerland, there have been wildfires out in the countryside due to the extreme heat, not very wet summer, and wind, and they're just lighting up. I'll tell you what, firefighters, you're fighting a wildfire. Wildfires are hot. It's even more difficult to fight a wildfire in 100-degree/40-degree heat. So, it's not an easy job. It's even harder when it's that hot out. So, I believe, I'm just checking here, the Colt Sebastian Taylor Weather Command Center, Looks like a little bit cooler this week, so hopefully there will be a break in that weather so that they can get a little bit of relief. Now in celebrity news, guess who got married this week? Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez. Yes, they are now married, officially married, in Nevada, Clark County, Las Vegas. It's sort of a surprise wedding. They didn't really announce that they were going to get married, but they were engaged, and they are now officially married. Now, this has been a long... They've known each other for over 20 years. They first met in 2001 during the movie Geely? I don't know. Terrible movie. While she was still married to her second husband, Chris Judd. So they separated, Lopez and her husband, in 2002, became Bennifer. Remember that? Bennifer. Got engaged then, but canceled it in 2003. Then they, remained, friends, and they went off and they married other people and divorced them. Ben Affleck married Jennifer Garner of Alias fame. They have 3 kids together, actually. But they divorced in 2015, but have remained remained good friends to help raise their children there. So being good parents and whatnot. But Ben Affleck has had a public battle with substance abuse, like alcoholism, and that kind of led to the ending of his marriage with Jennifer Garner. But he is now apparently feeling much better, sober, and now is married to Jennifer Lopez. Apparently, Jennifer Garner sent a beautiful bouquet of flowers over to them to congratulate them. Jennifer Lopez was very touched by that. Apparently, Jennifer Garner has been very welcoming of her into their family and whatnot, since, he still plays an active role in their child's lives. She is reportedly just happy that Ben Affleck is in a good place and is happy and sober and whatnot, so he can be a good father. So she, like I said, she was a very classy move by the beautiful Jennifer Garner to send flowers over to the new couple. But, anyways, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez, Jenny from the block, they are now hitched. It's official. All the paperwork is now in, and they were last seen in Paris on their honeymoon, walking around a Paris park and making out on a bench like teenagers, according to a witness. Good for them. Jenny from the block and Ben Affleck. They were married last weekend, actually, July 16th. Did not make my broadcast because I wasn't aware of it. I don't have staff members on Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez watch. I should have, so I apologize. But they're married. Congratulations. And that wraps up for celebrity gossip this week. Because if there's one place you come for celebrity gossip, it's me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Now, if I know one person who's probably devastated that Ben Affleck is off the dating market, it's probably my friend Rox. So the only way you could possibly console her is to listen to our show, The Rock Sessions. Yes, that's right. It is our drive time show here on AWSM Radio, making sure your evening commute home is fun, featuring the hottest music on the charts and some other surprises in between. She will make it rock style, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., only here on AWSM Radio. Please listen. She's going through a very hard time getting over the fact that Ben Affleck is no longer on the dating scene. I know for a fact that Rox has a Trapper Keeper full of cutout pictures of Ben Affleck that she is probably crying over right now. So really, you have to listen to her show weekdays, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., right here on AWSM Radio. Oh boy. I don't know if she listens to my entire show, but I hope she heard this part. We now go to tennis, where Venus Williams, former number 1 ranked tennis player, is making a comeback after almost a year of being off the court. She will be coming to Toronto. We're going to Toronto, joining her sister Serena in the WTA 1000 tournament next month, I believe. I think it was next month. Yes, next month. August 6th through the 15th at the National Bank Open and whatnot. She's 42 years old. I didn't think she was that old. She looks amazing. But her last match she played was at the Chicago Women's Open in August 2021, where she lost in the first round to Hishi Suwei. She returns to the court. Her most recent return to the court is when she teamed up with Britain's Jamie Murray and reached the second round of the mixed doubles in Wimbledon. But she is making her singles comeback. So she's played, but she hasn't really played a singles tournament in over a year. Both sisters are using their protected ranking to enter the main draw in Toronto. Number one in the world, Iga Swiatek, and four-time Grand Slam winner Naomi Osaka, and U.S. Open champion Emma Raducanu are also on that list. So some pretty top players in there. So what that means is, obviously, if you play lower tournaments, you earn the right to enter these upper tournaments. But because they've ranked so high, they can, even though they haven't played in a year, they can use that to get into said tournament. I guess it's one of the advantages of being ranked internationally. I don't know how that works, but anyways, Miss Venus Williams is coming back to the singles tournament in August in Toronto. And if I remember, I will let you know how she does, as well as her sister. I'll have full coverage of this, if I remember. You might need to remind me. I don't really follow tennis all that much. While I don't really follow tennis, I do follow morons, and noted tennis player Novak Djokovic, I don't know, ranked number 7 in the world, is wants to come to the U.S. to play in the U.S. Open, but he's unvaccinated, and so he's not allowed to come here, because to come to the United States, you have to be vaccinated. And apparently 12,000 idiots have signed a petition on change.org asking the United States Tennis Association, USTA, and U.S. government to allow Novak to come to compete in the U.S. Open. He's a 21-time Grand Slam champion, but refuses to get fully vaccinated. The petition says, there is absolutely no reason at this stage of the pandemic not to allow Djokovic to play at the U.S. Open 2022. The U.S. government and USTA must work together to allow him to play. If unvaccinated American players can play, Djokovic as one of the legends of the game, must be allowed to play. Make it happen, USTA, the petition said. No. How's that? No, there are rules to get in here, and if you can't follow those rules, then you don't come in. Simple as that. I mean, and you'll get off your high horse about people crossing the border illegally. That's why it's illegally. If he wants to go do that and appear in front of an immigration judge, he's more than happy to. But no, you have to be vaccinated to come in here. Then be the rules. Now, this is not the first time he has had his playing career a bit derailed. As you may remember, he was detained and deported from Australia for the same reasons in January. And he was the title holder of the Australian Open. He was unable to defend his title. He said he's willing to miss tournaments to maintain his unvaccinated status, and has foregone playing several tournaments throughout the year, including those based in the U.S., such as the Miami Open and the Indian Wells. But anyways, he has played 2 Grand Slam Opens this year. The French Open, where he reached the quarterfinals before losing to Rafael Nadal. And Wimbledon, where he defended his title with a 4-6, 6-3, 6-4, 7-6 victory over Nick Kyrgios. I'm saying all these names wrong. So his next appearance at Grand Slam could be in 2023 at the French Open if he refuses to get vaccinated and come here for the U.S. Open that begins on August 29th in Flushing Meadows, New York. And it being the end of July, I'm doubting this fella is going to be here. So, hey, it's his choice. Then he just can't come. Speaking of sports, my friends, we've got all the sports you need here on AWSM Radio on Wednesday nights. First up at 9 p.m., it's To the Rack with Mac. It is your go-to spot for all things basketball. Join NBA expert Mac Daddy as he brings you a full hour of high-flying hoops expertise. That's Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Then at 10 p.m., it's What's Going On. It is our Fox Sports affiliate show, providing listeners with over 150 years of sports knowledge, hosted by Nate Brown and his crew, and they have been a staple of Western New York sports for the past 2 decades. And now, guess what? They're here on AWSM Radio. So, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m., To the Rack with Mac. 10 p.m., What's Going On? Your sports info headquarters here at AWSM Radio. And finally this week, my friends, polio, the scourge of the early 19th century or 20th century and mid-20th century. Well, the first case in 10 years popped up this week in New York. Officials feel that this is likely caused by someone else who had a vaccine-derived strain of the virus, as in they had taken the vaccine for polio and had developed polio. Now, calm down, anti-vaxxers. In the United States, we do not use a polio vaccine that has a weakened live version of the virus. We use a vaccine that has an active virus to help build immunity. But in some countries where polio is a big problem, they do use a live virus polio vaccine. Okay, it's usually when it's a big threat, so they go around, they put a few drops in the mouth of children, because it usually affects children way much more, to help them get vaccinated for polio. But rarely, in rare cases, that weakened virus can mutate into a form that can make that person then contagious with polio. Now, this person in New York seems like they were, surprise, surprise, unvaccinated, making them vulnerable for polio. If you are vaccinated, you have nothing to worry about. But there is still a segment of the population that is unvaccinated for polio. Yes, yes, yes. According to CDC, most recent data, vaccination data, 93% of 2-year-olds have had their 3 doses of the polio vaccine, meaning 7% have terrible parents. Or they might be immunocompromised, but probably terrible parents. So, federal officials recommend 4 doses of the polio vaccine, giving it 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 18 months, and at ages 4 through 6. So, just do it. Just do it. So, should make a recovery. Officials are offering polio vaccine shots to people in the area just to get them up to date with the vaccines. Folks, go to your doctors. Make sure your vaccinations are up to date to protect yourself, your family, your friends, and not be mentioned as being a moron in one of these stories. Well, my friends, that just about wraps up this week's Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Remember, you can find me on the Twitter, on the Cameo, and also on Anchor.fm at Colt S. Taylor. Be sure to go to Anchor.fm/Colt S. Taylor and subscribe to the podcast version of the show. Very handy if you missed the show due to, I don't know, you had to get a polio vaccine and you couldn't listen to the show. Whatever reason. So, but if there's a story you think I should cover, let me know, and I'll definitely circle back and get that. And then, of course, if you haven't already, bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com. I update it once in a blue moon, or a few times a year. Well, my friends, until next week, I am, of course, your friend, the one, the only, Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.